Starting with this example, we're going to find areas under that normal curve using these z-scores that are given. Now I want you to stick around because we're also going to look for z-scores given areas, and then I've got an application where you have a mean and a standard deviation to work with. We want to find the area under the normal curve, or the probability that the z-score is between -1.3 and 1.3. I want to start in the calculate screen, so the scratch pad here. We're going to go right into that menu, and then from the menu we want number 6, which is statistics, and then we want number 5, which is distributions, and we want the normal distribution. Now we're going to be using today the normal CDF, which is going to give us a cumulative area, and the inverse normal, which is going to give us a z-score starting with an area. So we want normal CDF. Now it's giving me a lower bound of -9e999. This is the calculator's way of saying negative infinity, but our area is actually starting at -1.3. So I'm going to type right over this using my little negative next to the enter key and do -1.3. Let's go ahead and arrow down, and then our upper bound is +1.3, so 1.3. Now I'm going to leave the mean and standard deviation, that mu and sigma, at 0 and 1 for our standard normal distribution. Stick around later in the video, we're going to look at a given mean and standard deviation. Okay, but we're going to skip right by that. So let's go ahead and tab, 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 and then hit enter for OK. So the area underneath the normal curve between -1.3 and +1.3 is 0.806. The entire area is 1. Let's take a look at this next example. I've got an area where my values are less than -2. So I'm going to do that normal CDF again, and I'm going to show you how to get there again too. So we're going to go menu, and then I want statistics, which is number 6, and then we want distributions, which is number 5. So I'm going to hit number 5, and we do want that normal CDF number 2, so let's go ahead and choose that. Now this time our lower bound is negative infinity, but you can see on our diagram here that even at -3, we are at about 0 area above -3. So -9 times 10 to the 999th is way overkill. You can just use something like -20. That would be far enough towards negative infinity, or a negative super large number is great. My upper bound here is a -2, so I'm expecting a fairly small area. Let's go ahead and tab until we get to OK, and then enter. And we do get a pretty small area, 0.02275. Now in this example, I wanted to show you when our area is on the right-hand side, or an upper area. So here we've got z is greater than 1.65. So I'm going to do that normal CDF again, but this time let's go ahead and choose the normal CDF from what we typed in before. I just arrowed up until it's highlighted. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And I'm just going to back up and I'm going to change these values. So I want to change this -20 into, I'm starting at 1.65. So 1.65. Let's go ahead and arrow over to that -2, and I am going to delete that one. I want this one to be infinity, so I'm just going to type in a really large number here, like 9,999, and I do want 0 and 1, so I'm just going to hit enter, and I get, again, a fairly small area of 0.049471. Now you're not just going to be asked about areas under the normal curve, you're also going to be given areas under the normal curve, and you want to find a z-score that goes along with it. So for our first example where we're given an area, we've got an area cutting off the middle 50%, and we want to find those z-scores. So for that, I'm going to go to menu again, and then statistics and distributions, which is number 5. This time I want the inverse normal. I'm going in reverse, area to a z-score. So let's hit enter to choose number 3. It's asking me for an area. And the key here is that the calculator is always asking you for an area to the left of the z-score that you want. Well, if I've got 50% in the middle, that means that the area that's not shaded totals 50%. So I've got 25% in the left tail and 25% in the right tail. So to find that first z-score, I'm actually cutting off 25% of the area. So we're going to type in 0.25 there, always an area on the left, and we are on the standard normal curve. So I'm going to skip by that 0 and 1, and then I'm going to choose OK. And then it gives me, that's going to be the leftmost z-score. So that middle 50% starts at a z-score of negative 0.674. And let's go ahead and find that upper one. We could also use symmetry, but I want to show you how to find the upper one. The upper one on the right side, I have got an area of 0.25 and then 0.5. So the area to the left of that z-score is 0.75. So I'm going to go back into menu, and then I want statistics, I want distributions, I want inverse normal, so I want number 3, and this time the area to the left is going to be 0.75. Let's tab through to OK, and then I get that positive 0.674. So that area is cut off by a negative 0.674 and a positive 0.674. In this one, I want to know what score cuts off the upper 10%. But remember, in order to use our inverse normal, we need the area from the left. So I've got 10% on the right, which means that out of 100%, I've got 90% on the left. Now, I can for sure go back into the menu, or I can go ahead and grab inverse norm from my screen up above that last entry. So I arrowed up until it's highlighted and then hit enter. I'm going to arrow back, and I want to change this 0.75, so let's delete that, into a 0.90 for 90%. Let's hit enter, and I get 1.28. Now the last type that we want to look at is probably the most important, and these are an application. So with our applications, we're not dealing with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. In this case, we've got an average salary for nurses at $95,350 with a standard deviation of 7,250. I want to know the salaries that cut off the middle 50% of nursing salaries. So in this example, we are starting with an area. So I want to use that inverse normal. So going into our menu, and then I want statistics, and then distribution, and inverse normal, which is number 3. Our area is 50%, but remember inverse normal uses an area from the left. 50% in the middle, so on the left I've got 25%, 0.25. I'm going to tab down, and this time I'm going to replace mu with my average salary, and that's going to be $95,350. And then tabbing down to our standard deviation, this is 7,250, so 7,250. And then I'm going to tab down to OK and hit enter. This is giving me the lower cutoff. So the lower cutoff salary is $90,459.90. I also want to find the upper cutoff for our 50%. So we're going to go back to this inverse norm. I'm just arrowing up through it and then enter. Wherever I can save myself a little bit of time is helpful. This time, to get that upper number, I am cutting off an area that includes the 50% and it includes that 25% on the left. So that's going to give me an area of 0.75 to the left of that value. Let's go ahead and hit enter, and we get a salary of $100,240. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video.